Everybody here knows the story of David, and not even David and Goliath, but just David in general, how David went from being a shepherd to becoming king. What most people don't talk about is how from the time it was prophesied he was going to be king, he didn't actually become king until 16 years later. The other thing is that David was never even told during that period of time he was going to be king until shortly before he became the king. David was told he was going to become king at 16 years old. He didn't become king until around the age of 30, 32, sometime in that age range. He didn't immediately go and sit in a palace in nice places. That's not what happened. Literally, David went back to being a shepherd. He went back to his normal thing. Then eventually, fast forward, he fought Goliath, and we know he took Goliath out. And then many years later, he was playing the harp for King Saul. And then David became basically a general and was going to war on behalf of the children of Israel. And then many years later, Saul was trying to kill David, and David had to take his men, and he was out in the caves with his troops that sided with him. And then many years later, when Saul died and Jonathan died, he became king. What happened? Why did it take 16 years from when David was prophesied he was going to be king to him actually becoming king? After he was anointed, first he went and he had to fight Goliath. So first God used that season to grow his popularity because nobody knew who he was. But as soon as he killed Goliath, everybody knew who David was. It was like, yo, who is this young dude who took out Goliath? So first he became popular. Then what happened after him becoming popular? David was a shepherd. He was from poverty. David didn't understand how royalty interacted. The next thing was David had to go and play the harp for Saul for years. What does that mean? For the first time in David's life, he got to be amongst royalty. He got to see their customs and the way that they operate and the way that they move. While he's playing the harp, he got to hear certain things in certain meetings that Saul was in. So David started to understand the politics, and he started to understand, the royalty and the customs. Then what happened? David became a general. And David led his troops into battle, and his troops were killing more people than Saul was. That's why the women came up with a song. All the baddies were singing, Saul killed his thousands, but David killing tens of thousands. All the baddies was like, oh, we like David because he's taking everybody out. So David learned how to truly become a general who could lead men into battle. And then when David got kicked out of the kingdom and he was living in the caves and his troops were with him, David had to learn how to be a leader who could keep people's morality high even when things are low. The reason why David was such a great king was because he didn't immediately become the king right after he was anointed. He went through a process. Every step along that way taught him about how the royalty operated. It made him popular. It taught him about the politics. It made him a great warrior. It made him a general. It made him understand the landscape of his people. He got to understand all of their enemies and all their allies of other nations. He literally became king before he was king. That being said, basically bringing it back to my story, just like if when David was anointed king, he became king right away, he would have ruined everything. And he would not have been a good king, and he wouldn't have been such a great blessing to Israel. Likewise, God kept it from me the same way he kept it from David about the desire or even the idea of getting in the tech industry. Because by the time I finally got in the industry, I had a platform on social media. I didn't have as many followers as I have now, but I had about 40-something thousand followers. People on social media trusted me because for years on social media, I never took part in any scams. I had so many people telling me to do the Forex stuff, and I said no. Even though people said, Cyrus, you will make so much money because people trust you. And I said, yeah, but I'm not confident that I'm going to help people make money. So I literally stayed broke. I saw my broke friends become rich doing Forex, but I refused to take part in it because I was like, I'm not sure if it's legit. And I don't want to be successful on something that I feel like isn't really going to help other people. Long story short, y'all, and this is for everybody in general. Sometimes God keeps you back or keeps us back from things. Any of y'all that are in a situation, financially, or if you're interested in getting in tech, scaling in tech, and you're like, man, I've tried this, I've tried all of these things and stuff isn't working. It's like, man, I truly believe, just like with me, everything that you went through, it wasn't in vain. It's literally something that I promise you at some point in your life is going to spin the block. You're going to be like, dang, I'm actually happy I went through that season, because if I had to went through that season, I wouldn't have had this skill set and this skill set and this skill set, or I wouldn't have this relationship and this relationship. So likewise, had I not been broke for so long and waited until the time I waited to get in tech, I wouldn't have been able to help so many other people. So at the end of the day, again, it's not even about me, it's about y'all, it's about us. And even your story isn't just about you, it's about who God is going to impact through your story and through your life and journey.